Welcome to Cannabis School. I'm your host, Jesse Angeles.
And I'm Brandon Elder.
And we're here to talk to you about everything pertaining to cannabis, from vape,
flower,
edibles,
strains,
and everything in between. Welcome, everybody. We are so excited. We have Jess from MJBIZCon here with us. We couldn't be more honored and thrilled at the exact same time. We're going to be able to hear about so many different things. But before I go really in detail with that one, Brandis, give us a proper introduction for Jess.
Oh, proper introduction?
Yeah, tell everything about her. Everything about her.
I don't know everything about Jess. That's what she's here for.
Her favorite color is what?
Black. I mean,
Black.
That's like the best color.
Okay, and her favorite food?
Chinese food.
There you go. See, now we can go into the proper stuff about business. So MJBIZCon, Jess, Brandon, tell us about MJBIZCon. Tell us about Jess, and then let's just get right into the questions, man.
Yeah. So this is their 12th year of MJBIZCon here. It started back in Colorado. They had about 400 people. Last year, they had over 30,000 people. And it's been in Vegas since about 2014. And this year, they have notable guests like Martin Luther King Jr. III. So,
third.
They have some. I know. I mean,
does he
the
have
first
like a
one's
scepter
not here, so,
and a hat?
They might make one.
That'd be cool.
Specific for MJBIZCon.
That'd be cool. Like a big MJ over there, and it's green, kind of glistening. That'd be awesome.
Don't love it till you try it.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, Jess, you're the CFO?
No.
CRO.
CRO.
Yeah. So I oversee the MJBiz brand and specifically the events as well. So it's the experience part too.
Yeah,
So
you're also in charge of the chief experience officer as well, right?
Yes, exactly. Yep. So basically all things MJBiz. That's probably the best way to put it. Just all things MJBiz. Yeah.
So what inspired the creation of MJBiz?
I love telling this story because the founders who aren't full-time with the business anymore, but they started it, two women, Ann Holland and Cassandra Farrington, in Colorado, in Denver in 2011. And actually we started there with publication because they felt like that they could see the business side coming down the pike and that this was a real industry that needed love and attention, and also just the forum for people to get together and, entrepreneurs to grow their business. So they started focusing specifically on the business side. Of course, like High Times was out there. I mean, there are a lot of consumer brands, for media, but they said, okay, we want to focus on seed to sale, cultivation, processing, retail, and help people out for all the things that they might need to run a business, because they saw it coming. And then sure enough, 2012 hits and, Colorado legalizes. That's the first year we have an event, and, it just takes off from there. And it's been a wild ride ever since.
Oh, that's way cool. I think about, especially when they started out, what it was like for them thinking, I mean, it's a big bet because even though it was growing, it's still a big bet. And to see where it's come to now, I mean, I can only imagine because they are no longer into the day-to-day operations. Kind of sounds like, maybe it was a buyout, a merger, whatever. But as that happened, like it would be hard for me to leave that baby. I mean, I bet the founders, they might think differently of like how the events are running today as when they used to.
Yeah, I mean, they've been involved with the progression. So, for them, I think it's definitely been a very joyous growth. But as anyone who's worked in this space knows, like in cannabis years, 12 years in cannabis years is like 35, I swear. I mean, because things are changing and moving so quickly, especially if you're, being a media organization, which we are primarily. We do have the event, obviously, but I mean, we're churning out daily news, like monthly magazine, and just keeping up with that, and who's in the space, who's leaving the space. It's 1 year here is in cannabis in general, I feel like is like 5.
Yeah.
So,
They felt like it was about time. So we were actually acquired by a media and events company that's headquartered in New York in January of 22. So I stayed on with the brand to continue to oversee things, and now we have much larger support from a bigger parent company.
And larger
Would have
support
been
meaning more money, right?
Yep.
Yeah. To put on a better event for all of you guys, because it's what it's about, right? It's an experience. And I mean, you've got to be able to fuel that. And it's so awesome that this company had seen the potential that this has. They're like, man, we could, I mean, not to sound like they're a bunch of greedy bastards, but they are like, we could milk this really well and really give the audience what they want, give the consumers what they want.
Yeah, we look at it every year, just kind of like with the MJBIZCon side, especially, we sit down and start fresh every year. And, there is no set it and forget it or rinse and repeat, because we have to look at like, what does the industry need from us? We don't take this, responsibility lightly, to where we're trying to help. And that's, at the end of the day, the content and the connections that we're trying to put out there. It's the medium in which we do that, changes from print to digital to in-person events. But at the end of the day, we have the same mission, which is really to help cannabis professionals and entrepreneurs really succeed in this business.
What have been some of the biggest challenges with putting on a cannabis focused event?
I mean, the elephant in the room is the legality, right? Like when you are the world's largest cannabis business event, you're under a microscope in a lot of ways. And so we need to make sure that we're doing things the right way because that reflects on the industry. We want to show kind of more the mainstream event world and a lot of local and state government officials that like, this is a very professional business, and it's a fun one, but at the same time, like, we're here to do business as well. So the big thing is just making sure that we're working with all of our partners in Las Vegas and then Clark County, where Las Vegas is. So we have some great relationships there, and that's been great. But otherwise, it moves so quickly, between what's needed. And, we just, with Ohio just legalizing this month, we have really had to stop and say, okay, well, what do people who are working in Ohio, what do they need now? Because this is the new regulation. So do they need sessions? Do they need meetups? So it's just constantly being on your toes. And I think that's kind of a little bit more unique to cannabis than maybe an industry that's a lot more mature.
So you guys more or less act as the liaison in being able to help these up and coming companies mature with the actual business, because as we know, Brandon and I both know, we're very familiar with the cannabis industry. It's almost like, and I don't want to be crass about this, but it's almost like a bunch of country bumpkins sitting on the back of the pickup truck paying their guys right out of in cash. They're like, here you go, here you go. They don't understand that this is a very mature business. This is like a Rodeo Drive type of business is what we're trying to achieve with it. We want high value brands, and not millions of them. We want centralized brands that mean a lot to the consumer. Mm-hmm. So it's very young as far as that part. Yeah. And you guys are integral into that part and helping them to understand that it's not hand to mouth.
Well, we certainly try, and every year it seems you can noticeably see the difference between, I think, as things are becoming less taboo, the stigma is kind of fading away. You also have more people entering the space from other industries and other professions who are bringing their skill sets that maybe they had somewhere else over. And I think one of the, just as an example, a couple of years ago, I'm trying to think, probably 2018, we would have maybe one marketing advertising session. Didn't really, it had, a decent turnout, but it wasn't, blowing the doors off at all. Fast forward now, we have a full day dedicated program around marketing and advertising and branding. We have breakout sessions, there are meetups, and you're seeing in general, the job titles of people who are registering and coming to the event for marketing specialties is just skyrocketing. And I think that in itself is pretty indicative of what's happening with the industry, because as you said, to have this Rodeo Drive type brands, the marketing that goes around that, especially with the regulations still impacting cannabis companies, it's you've got to be on your game for it, and the competition is steep. So, yeah.
Well, and that's why so many cannabis brands are here for a minute and then they're gone.
Yeah, I think, it is still a bit of a volatile industry. I would love to see things kind of mature in that way where they're able to, be a little bit more stable throughout the year. I mean, for them. It is interesting too that I know several people that are on my exhibit floor that they started the first year they came, they were an attendee and they said, I just really want to get into the space. I want to see what it's all about. Then they come back the second year and they're like, okay, I have my business plan. I am looking for capital, looking for funding this year. Then they come back the third year and they're like, all right, I have backing, I have investors, I'm ready to go now. And then to see them, then they buy a booth, like a 10 by 10 booth, and then to see them kind of grow up with us and have these like really big, impressive footprints on our show floor. It's been pretty cool, to celebrate that with them because we've grown together. The MJ Biz was at a hotel and then we outgrew the hotel and then we moved to the convention center and like keep adding more space there. So it's there are definitely a number of people that we've grown up in this industry together.
Yeah, it creates almost like a family because you're always there, and if you're growing at each stage, well.
Yeah, no, and knowing a lot about the convention space as well, like it's not cheap to play. It really isn't. And you have to think about that. Like I've worked with smaller cannabis brands on the marketing side for branding and messaging, and they've got these like, oh, it's cannabis, it just prints money. Not so at all. And when they get into that mentality, it's like, okay, well, what are you looking to invest to really grow this? Because it's not just, I have plants for sale. It's you have to really put yourself as an outlier, and being able to attend an event like MJBizCon as an up and coming company. I like how you said, like they come check it out and then they go, yeah, I'm looking for funding, because they realize they're like, oh, my $5,000 a month marketing spend is peanuts compared to what these guys are spending. I need to be involved with that, which forces them to create a real business plan other than let's sell stuff that we think is cool. Brandon and I ran into one. Like, I'm not going to throw the guy underneath the bus, but there was a product that he was at this tiny little event here in Utah, and it was for like a dab rig station, and it had all this. It just looked like something. I'm like, that sounds like a lifestyle thing, like you do on the weekend. Like that's cool for you, bro, but you're not going to be making millions. Nobody's going to be beating down your door for that. And I love that. It's just such a transition for them to understand that it's like going to the pro leagues, right? Coming to your event is going to like the Super Bowl of cannabis. So you're like, hey, this is what's going on. These are the play-by-play. You want to play in this game and get the ring? You're gonna have to play with the big boys, right? So that's cool.
I like it. I'm gonna start using that, the Super Bowl of cannabis. I love it. I mean, it is. Yeah. It does feel like the kind of culmination of the year. We're always, that November timeframe, and what I love about it is whether you've had a great year, you've had a bad year, like you want to come to Vegas and close out your year that way. And so it's celebration, it's commiseration, and sometimes and then it's just like setting you up for like, okay, it's a fresh start for 2024, and we're gonna figure out what partners we need or what we need to buy or, insert whatever. But it's, that's one of the things I love about it. And I get jazzed because I get to see, all these people that I just adore and, get to see them once or twice a year. So it's a lot of fun for us too.
Brandon, you were touching on something right before we got on.
Oh, probably.
Talking about her personal cannabis use. And from what I understand, you were late to the show like me. You just showed up late.
Oh, well, better late than never, right?
So how has that transition been? And what was that event? Was it working at MJBizCon or was it before that?
It was right around that time, I think. I just, hadn't had a lot of exposure to it, I guess. And then once I came over here, I had an event background, and I knew the founders of MJ Biz for a while before actually coming over. And as the event was getting bigger, they thought I could help them out, and luckily, they thought so. So once I started here and I started getting to read the news all the time, getting to really understand the industry, and honestly, for me, even that stigma like started to fall away. That thing, I grew up in the 80s, 90s time frame, and I remember the DARE campaigns and all those things. So getting to like actually see the research, see what's happening on the business side, meet the people who are actually making these products, and getting this to understand it better. I think it was just a great door that had been opened for me.
I wish my journey wasn't like that. Brandon just brought me into the fold. He was just like, "Hey, dude, this is going to help you." And I'm like, "I don't know about that." Now here we are.
So clearly he was onto something.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's. I think that's one of the reasons why we've loved being able to create this podcast for our audience. Is our goal is to be able to reach new consumers that are sitting right on the fence, and thinking about MJBizCon and all these companies over there and what they're trying to do. We created it for the fact to be able to, one, inform customers and entertain them in a sense, but at the same time being able to give a gateway to these brands, saying, hey, there are a lot of consumers out there that are looking for you, and being able to find the right ones to partner with. I think that's been the most difficult for us, as you've probably seen, that there are a lot of cannabis companies, but there are a lot of just pretenders. People are going to be here for maybe a year or two, and they're out because they think that's either going to be a buyout or they're just going to run out of money. Like they're going to have more plants than people to buy. And they're like, I don't know what to do here. Or they have products that nobody wants. Brandon and I have gone through a dozen products that are just horrible.
Definitely. What tips do you guys have for like a first time comer to MJBizCon?
Oh, I love this question because it's really exciting for me when I get to see somebody who's there for the first time and like their eyes get really big. And I think the general consensus is that I hear the most is, we didn't know it was this big. And I mean, that's just like, it's a proud moment for us, but it's a proud moment for the industry to say like, yeah, no, this is huge. So the tips I usually give first timers. So first of all, the really easy one is wear really comfortable shoes, because it's a really big show floor. And you're going to be on your feet. So that's the first one that I always give people. But secondly, and we do a first timers orientation the morning that the event opens, so that you can meet our staff, ask any questions, things like that. But the thing that I would tell everybody is make a plan. The biggest mistake I see people make is if they just show up and think, okay, it's 3 days, I'll figure it out. It is so fast and furious that like know what sessions you're going to go to, know who you need to meet, what exhibitors you need to go see on the floor, and even down to like what after parties are you going to, because there's so many every night. I mean, it's just impossible to get to everything. So it's super fast, 3-4 days. And so just like show up with like all of that outlined, and then, just away you go, because it goes by super fast.
I can imagine. With over 30,000 people there last year, how many vendors or like booths do you guys have there last year?
Yeah, it's right around 1,400 companies that are exhibiting on the show floor. And it varies every year. We do have a number of first-time companies every year, which that's always great, because you can see like, here's what's new. But they go all out. So there's a lot of really cool stuff on that floor. It is segmented now. It wasn't for a while, but in the past couple of years, we started segmenting it by just general product category, more or less. So like cultivation services, or processing and packaging, or retail and dispensary and business services. So we try and do that so that it's a little bit easier to kind of find what you need and where you're going.
That's handy.
Yeah, it was just, in the beginning, we just were, the way we were growing, it just, all of a sudden one day it was like, oh man, like I'm tired. I roll to get around this floor, because it's just a lot. So
just get you like a Segway or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
little Paul Blart Mall cop hat.
There you go.
You might see me. So if you see somebody zipping around on there, it's Probably me.
It's Jess. Make sure you wave.
They just need to put like a
Smiling
harness
boys.
on her and then have something hanging from there, and they just yank her up every once in a while, like Spider-Man, and then they just plop her down in another
Somewhere
area that
else.
they need her, just
If
because
we
of how
get to
big
that
it is.
point, I don't know. I might be out if that happens.
They go, hey, Jess, real quick, we need you to look at this, and they bring out this harness, and it's all connected to the ceiling. You're like, I'm out. Hey, you know what? I appreciate it. I'm
Been
done.
fun, guys.
I can't do this anymore. No, that is so cool. I love that detail that you really take care of them, not only as a vendor, but as a visitor, as being able to come see the show. It's that exact same feel. Like it's like you said, 3 days, 4 days, like that
Mhm.
gone, and you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, I've lost 6 pounds. I don't even think I eat, and because you just want to see everything.
Yeah, it's man, it's super fast. I know I sleep for like a solid 12 hours afterwards.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just peopled out. I need to do my own thing and chill, decompress.
Well, I compare it to like if you're a runner and like a marathon training. So like for us, we're training all year to get ready for this event, and then we get on site, that's our race, and your adrenaline's carrying you through. And then, afterwards you have that runner's high at first where you're like, I am ready to do this again. Like now, like, and then all of a sudden it's okay, I need a nap.
Pass out for 36 hours,
Yeah.
get back up and do it again.
Yep, exactly.
Just run an IV therapy. Like she gets back, she just gets mainline with all this essential nutrients, everything she needs is
Coffee. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. That mainline coffee. There you go. Oh, that's so neat.
We should have a reality show that, follows us around, like the behind the scenes. I think that would be pretty entertaining.
Oh yeah.
It could
Should make that happen one day.
Might as well. It's preseason stuff. It's the show. It gets everyone excited for next season's drop.
Right.
So with the show, what's the biggest change that people can expect this year?
Change. I think it's not so much a change as every year we're adding to the event.
Okay.
So we have some new things that we're doing this year that I'm pretty excited to share. First one is, let's see, no particular order. We are partnering with Thrive Dispensary, which is one of the Nevada brands, and they are going to have an activation or a lounge on the show floor where you can meet with some of the brands that they have in their dispensary, and then you can do online ordering like through a kiosk, and we have shuttle buses running you down the street to their actual
dispensary.
Their actual dispensary, so you can pick everything up and then not have to be, because unfortunately, with the way that the law reads, we cannot have consumption or actual cannabis products at the convention center. That's not an MJBiz thing. That's a local and regulation issue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That hopefully one day we might see some change there, but for right now we have to be good partners and follow the law. But this way, we're actually providing that transportation to try and make that a little bit easier. Likewise, we also we're taking over the Lexi Hotel, which, if you're not familiar with that, it reopened this year as Las Vegas's first consumption-friendly hotel. And so in the guest rooms there, you can smoke in your room, totally okay there. And because if most of the Las Vegas hotels don't permit that. So that's pretty cool. And we have several brands that are doing takeovers and activations parties at the pool and the bar. And so that's going to be going on during the week too. So like those types of things, we're just trying to add to the event to try to have, just make it a little bit more enjoyable, because we're all there to do business, but we also, want to have a good time as well.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
I like that. It's like a Disneyland feel. Oh, do you want to go get corn dogs and turkey legs? Jump on the trolley. Oh yeah, mate. We're gonna go over there. We're gonna get smushed. We're gonna come right back. We're gonna have a great time. Like that sounds awesome. It sounds like that thing you were talking about in Denver, where you drive around and they had dabs and all.
Oh yeah, it was the dab bus. I went to 420 out in Denver.
A couple years ago.
How many years ago was that? I don't know. Yeah, it was when I cut the tips of my fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, had a table saw accident and like sliced the 3 of these little middle fingers pretty good. Yeah, and then there was I think it was called the Dab Bus, and it was $10 or $15 for an unlimited night pass. And they were driving around Denver, and they had dab rigs on it. You could smoke. They were passing around joints. Everyone brought their own stuff. There was like chalkboard walls all on the inside, and people were drawing. And then there was like an old school Nintendo set up at the back. And it just cruised around Denver, made stops.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it was wild.
Cool.
That's some crazy Tijuana
I
shit
don't
that
know how legal it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not, but
yeah, I'm not sure it is either, but that was way like early times in Denver. So
yeah, it's gotten a little bit more, I guess, like more, I don't know the right word, maybe mainstream or just controlled. I guess.
Yeah, controlled, definitely.
Yeah.
Like a noose around it, like it's just running around wild and lawless. That's where it gives these types of conventions a bad name if you did that. So that's really cool that you guys are offering it this year to be able to go, hey, look, not only you can go over there and see dispensaries, we'll take you right there so you can consume, but that hotel, that's bomb.
That's cool.
It's cool. They've done a great job with it.
They must have an amazing ventilation system.
I would guess. I don't know personally, but they've done a great job. It was formerly the Artisan Hotel, and then new ownership took over, and it reopened over the summer. And they've been fantastic partners, and they are very supportive of the industry, which is great.
That's dope. Now I'm looking it up because I'm curious what it looks like.
Sounds cool, dude. I mean, you come in and it's not going to look stonery at all. It's just going to be awesome. They'll have bongs in the room, that gets cleaned.
Inside looks super unique. Yeah. Cool. Well, now we have to go down and check it out.
That's so cool. So more attention to making sure that the attendees, both the exhibitors and attendees, are being able to really feel more of a concierge type feel for this event. That's way cool.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm going to have to bring Crocs. Ugly ass shoes.
Not happening.
You'll be comfortable.
Oh, yeah. I know.
I'll just tape a pillow to my ass and then I'll just take a seat and to get back up. That'd be perfect.
I support that. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Pillows all around. Awesome. What's been one of your least favorite trends in cannabis that you've seen?
Least favorite. Well, I would say least favorite is, our hearts definitely go out to any of the brands that, are struggling this year. I think in the, just the wave that this industry has been through, a lot of ups, of course, for many years, we were all on that upward trajectory. And I think, in the past year or so, like there have been more businesses impacted by more of an economic downturn or, oversaturation and just consolidation in general. So I think that's been tough to see. I'm definitely very hopeful, and I'm hearing good things that, hopefully by next year we'll start to see that upward movement again. So for everyone, if they can, hang on, get through it now, I think they'll be in a much better place come next year.
I thought she was going to go into, I can't stand seeing scantily dressed cannabis brands with their women around the booths just wearing bikinis, because that irritates the shit out of us. Because it's like that, right? Remember that 420, the Latin girls over there going, oh, how are you doing? It's like, no.
Well, and that is something actually, we do address it, with the show specifically, because there is a certain amount of professionalism that we want to exude and that we want to be part of our brand, and also just to help the industry mature and move things along faster. So we definitely have policies around what is permitted at the event, and it is designed to, keep it focused on business, keep it focused on what really matters and what's really going to elevate everyone. And to your point, there are certain behaviors or things that you can see at maybe some other events that you won't see at ours.
We won't complain about that. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, it just cheapens the brand. It really cheapens the brand. And we don't respect that. Like when we were at this tiny little 420 thing, and like a lot of the booths were very respectable. Like hey, we want to tell you about our business. But then there's this one where, I just remember, and people will know, they're going to be hearing this or they're watching it right now. They're going to be like, they had this woman over there who's dressed in a bikini. It's all black, hair done. And she's got her kid hanging here off of her hip. And the kid's just looking around with the bottle in his mouth. And you're just like, this isn't really what I want to see here. Like, I just want to learn about your brand. These brands, like we had talked about the first, like in order for you to be able to be a long lasting brand, you have to be taking yourself very, very seriously.
Absolutely.
And that's not the market. That's not the future market. It's a small segment of the market.
Even down to like what, name nomenclature for different strains and things, like, I've definitely seen some out there that are, less than reputable. And I think, to your point about how they're portraying their brand, if we say that when we're trying to go after a larger market, consumer market, in many years we had, the two ends of the spectrum. So you had, the medical patient side, and you had the true, enthusiast side. But there's this like Grand Canyon in the middle of people. And, what about the mom who just, after a really long day gets home, makes dinner, and then just wants to relax and doesn't want to, pour that glass of Chardonnay, right? I mean, that's obviously an unfair stereotype in a lot of ways, but at the same time, there are all these people that you want it to be inviting to them, and you want to appeal to them as well, and make it something that seems good to them and comfortable. And the more we can do that, and by eliminating, how we portray brands, I think that's going to help a lot.
Because we miss the mark a lot of the time when we are showing up with those types of things. And it's like, it's not what the industry is. It's just a certain demographic of it and what's been portrayed for the longest time. And so that like stoner culture, that takes away from a lot of the business side of it as well, because there are so many functional, just everyday people
exactly,
who use cannabis like a normal thing. And instead of it being something that, like the Nancy Reagan era, that it fries your brain and makes you really stupid, can be a tool or a catalyst for many people. So yeah,
and it's educating on that sense too. It's coming into it with both eyes open instead of just an assumption, which is how cannabis has been portrayed for so long. It's just an assumptive that you're a loser. It's assumptive that you're never going to do it. But then if you go through the line of very successful people in the world, I would say most of them, if not all of them, are consuming cannabis in one form or another because they see the benefits. And having conferences such as like this, being the world's largest, and being able to attract the brands, reputable brands, all goes back to that one. You can't just be, I mean, maybe you could, but it would be such a short-lived brand if you just come with the assumptions that these are all the things. Like attending, I would say that to up and coming companies that are thinking about like, what do I really want for my cannabis brand, is to attend an event like this, to be able to see what's out there, competition, but more or less like, how are they presenting themselves instead of just having a cannabis brand. Brandon and I, we were part of a grow years ago. That's kind of how we got into all of this. And that was some of the things that we had talked about. We really want to get rid of the common misconception of people who use cannabis. We want people who are my age and older, who are like, yeah, like, I mean, we just had a podcast this morning with this awesome guy, and how old is Pat? In his 60s?
Probably.
Yeah, and he's so excited to bring his friends over that he goes cycling with, and he's going to introduce them into some of the awesome plants. So it's just so cool.
Very cool.
With that, I kind of want to, as we're wrapping this up, I just want to know, like, what are the things that you would like to see personally, because you've seen so many brands, so many businesses come and go. When you've seen some of the most successful ones that keep showing up every single year, can you give our listeners this idea of what are the things that you see that make a successful cannabis brand?
To be successful in this industry, I think you've got to have a really solid leadership team. I will start with that. I think to have a successful brand, it's about manage the business, and we're in it because we love what we do. We love the industry. Like, don't ever lose that. However, make sure that you're also taking care, like treating it like a true business, and running, being more conservative with your financials, let's say, or making sure you hire the right people, and the right people can look a lot of different things in this space, depending on what it is. And I know I've seen people coming over from, so let's say, the example from earlier, marketing. So let's say you're a marketer for, a Fortune 1000 brand, and then you come over to cannabis, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, the marketing principles still apply. You still have the skill sets, and now you just got to learn how to, bob and weave pretty much in cannabis. But the ones I've seen that are really successful do a great job of managing that. And then when it comes to brands, in terms of like how they're perceived with, I guess, the consumer audience, the ones that do really well, I think it comes down to how professionally they manage their brand, what relationships they have to get in what stores, and it's a very much a relationship-driven business still at this point. So I can't emphasize that enough. And that's where things like, self-promotional plug here, but MJBIZCon, coming there, you never know who you're going to meet in the line at Starbucks, or, coming onto the show floor. And that serendipitous connection, is going to turn into, a future business partner, or, someone that's going to help you out down the line. So I definitely go to events like that as much as you can.
Yeah, every year, MJBIZCon. Make sure you're there.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it goes to that one. It's always who you know. It's not what you have. It's not how cool your tech is or how awesome your extracts are. It's all about those connections, making those solid connections, because they'll take you a long way. They're like the opportunities for funding. A bigger brand could see this up and coming one going, we should purchase them. Those things, I guarantee those things have happened. Those decisions have been made right there on that floor.
Oh, so many. I've heard a lot of stories just from people I know that's where the deals get done, and it's because of who they know there. It's because of how they represented their brand, what their reputation is in the industry. And a lot of that, I have heard many stories of that happening at MJBizCon. I want to know. I'm excited to see what we hear this year at the event, because there's always something, right? There's always a story. There's always some breaking news. So I'm interested to see what it is. We're partnering for the first time this year with Fairchild Events, who we're doing the MJs, which are International Cannabis Awards. That'll be Thursday night at the Palms Hotel, and that's a really cool event that we're going to be able to give out tons of awards for people who are doing amazing work in cannabis. And it spans the whole, it's not just brands, it's also, across the entire ecosystem. And then there's a really fun after party that's going along with it. So that'll be new this year. And that's pretty cool.
International. So that's like all the global, is that research as well, or?
Yeah. And, the cool thing about MJBizCon is just how much it is a global meeting point. I think, at peak, we've been around 78 countries represented at the show, which is just awesome. Huge when you think about like what legalization in the world actually looks like. So that's a lot of people who are driving things forward.
We're always surprised when we pop up in like the top charts in all these random countries, and we're like, they're listening.
Yeah, Nigeria, Spain, all throughout Europe, like all these countries listen to us, and we're like in their top 10 of their alternative health podcasts, is because it's really starting to take a hold. Spain has been coming up like constantly in there. So
Italy as well.
Italy, Italy, their laws have changed.
Crazy.
So, oh man, this is so cool. Okay, well, MJBizCon, what are the dates? How long is it going from?
We're kicking off November 28th and we're going through December 1st. So just a couple weeks away. So for those celebrating Thanksgiving, those celebrating Thanksgiving in the US, it's right after that. And just you'll be able to hop on a plane to Vegas.
Yeah, we'll have the link down below where you can go and buy tickets directly there. So follow the link and get a ticket.
And show up there because, you might see us there. Guarantee we're going to be there. We're making sure that we're going to be there. You guys are going to be able to see us. We are so enthusiastic about the plant. We are grateful for our audience and how much you could do. Everybody go down there, click on the link, make sure that you get your tickets 28th to December 1st. That's a lot. Plus, you got to think about all those after parties and how many dispensaries are going to be around there. How many products are you going to be wanting to check out right away? Go there, attend. We can't stress that enough.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping on, Jess. It was great chatting.
Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys in Vegas.
Yeah, we're super excited. All right, everybody, take care.